For romantasy, romance lovers, erotica lovers, this game is for you. Personally, the whole royal and royal pairing thing, or just like the typical things, they don't really intrigue me in that way. But a royal and a court jester, I am all aboard this train. And I thought I was kind of the only one. And it turns out that there's a whole little subsect of people that are into it. And that just goes to show you, as a freak, you're never alone. So this, in short, is kind of what happened. Let me take you back.
There I was, doing what every creative does, scrolling. And suddenly it hit me.
I stumbled upon a tiny little TikTok. And the tiny little TikTok had a little drawing on it, like a little animatic somebody had made of a jester kind of yearning for a princess. And I was like, oh, somebody else likes this. That's cool. And then I saw a little tag. It said Jester X Princess. And I was like, a whole tag? Well, maybe it's just their tag, So I clicked on it. It was not their tag. It's a tag. It's very full. I haven't ventured over there because I don't go there. I'm an AO3 person. But I've heard Wattpad is full of people's little original stories for Jester and royal pairings. Jester and Prince, Jester and Princess. I'm sure that there's more non-binary ones too, but I didn't go looking over there. I'm good. I've got my juice. I'm good. I'm on AO3 enough as it is. But I was like, okay, cool. So it's not just me. And also some of these scenarios, I'm like, there's so many different ways to do this. Personally, I like a little whimsy in my court jester, like this. I also love the movie The Court Jester, so that was a huge part of it for me. Definitely a huge part of it for me. But I was like, well, I love The Court Jester. Everybody's super into this. And then I was thinking about how a lot of content about romance and romantasy is kind of about putting yourself into it. So often I will see TikToks of people doing these POVs, or people doing these little things where they talk about a trope that they like, but they kind of do it as imagine this, imagine that. And that reminded me of Tumblr, where there used to be the text post version of that of imagine you get sold to One Direction. And so I ended up coming up with this. So this is the original notes for the game. It says, Princess X Jester's inspired epistolary romance game. Parallel character creation, also in part tandem. Maybe they answer a question about each other. Every day, a prompted event in the castle where they interacted. Very vague. Each player writes the princess in their diary, the jester in the letters they cannot send, which obviously I made it royal instead of princess, because it could be princess, prince, monarch, whatever you feel. The jester, which is already a gender neutral term, in letters they cannot send, that'll be event 1, event 2, event 3, and then a climax, where I was just kind of it'll be event, it wouldn't necessarily just be 3. And then at the end, I was this is not spicy enough, this is not juicy enough. I need something to mix it up. And then I was like, wait, one of the players gets the other's correspondence through happenstance. And that leads to a little arrow, and it says, what does the other do? What does the vulnerable one think? It can be yearning, erotic, chaste. So those are the original notes and structures. So the whole thing pretty much just immediately spat itself out. And then the title came to me next, because I was fleshing it out, but then I was also well, what is this? Because I actually really don't like getting very far into a game if I don't have the title yet. I prefer to have a title because I feel like it helps me keep the vision together. And so I was thinking, and I was these are the themes. This is kind of what's in it. What am I thinking? And then I was well, those romance and romantasy books, they often have titles that are Crown of Thorns, Throne of Blood, Thing of Thing. And so I was Crown of Bells would be such a bitchy insult in court if somebody caught wind that the royal was in any way in love with or infatuated with the jester. To be she has a crown of bells. Call medieval gossip girl, headline found, text sent out to everybody. Everybody. And honestly, I did already do the audiobook for this game, and it's already out with the game proper. And I felt like Gossip Girl. I felt like Gossip Girl reading that out loud. I felt so like it was so cunty, and there was so subtle, like the little dynamic teases between the two and their power dynamic. I had a great time. So, in the end, there's not 3 events, there's 6 plus a climactic event, so the climax of the story, which is technically on the 7th day. So you go through 7 days of yearning, of things happening, and I thought maybe I would give you guys a little bit of a look into what can happen. So there's actually 2 different tables for the things that can happen to you guys. One thing happens per day. So basically that's like the main interaction you have in the day. And from there, afterwards, you write out your stuff. So the royal writes diary entries that they obviously think nobody will ever see. And the jester writes letters to their royal that they never, ever intend to send. Unfortunately, of course, they don't have a say. So in the happenings table for days 1 through 3, there's 6 possible things that can happen that are kind of like in the mild to moderate level of happening. And then there's a happenings table for days 4 to 6. That's more like moderate to severe romance things happening. Or like also like tension things happening in general amongst you guys and the court as well. Because you have to remember, it's not just about having a little crush on someone somewhat unattainable. It's also really political positions to hold. And a lot of the character creation encourages also like, what's the economic status of your kingdom? Are you aware of the economic status of your kingdom? We've been trying to reach you about the economic status of your kingdom. So there's like as much grittiness and detail and intrigue as you want to put in it, you can. But also you don't have to. It depends on how you want to play this, what universe you want to play this in. And then we have the climax table, which has 6 further things that are all like massive moments in a story. So let's say it's day 2, and we agreed that the person playing the jester could go first. And now it's day 2, so the royal in question, will now roll for what happened to us on day 2. And I rolled a 3. So, during a particularly dull party, the jester finds the royal on the balcony, enjoying the night air, escaping boredom, and cheers them up. So what you would do basically is very, very vaguely, surface level only, you can go through what did that look like? Like, what did you do to cheer me up, basically, to the jester? But also, we say this all in character. You're supposed to stay in character the whole time. What did you do to cheer me up? If you want to, you can even roleplay through the actual scene, as long as you don't tell them or narrate how you feel. Because when we're role-playing on TTRPGs, sometimes, for the sake of everybody who's listening and playing with us, we do narrate our inner worlds a bit. But in this one, you're keeping all of that to yourself until the very end and saving it for your correspondence. So after that scene, we're both going to take our time to have role-played it and then write out our correspondence. As the royal, I would write a diary entry. As the jester, they would write a letter to me. Neither of us shares any of those things until that's time to at the end. So everything just private. Let's say now it's day 6. We've been playing, building up, writing our correspondence, interacting, bits that we interact throughout the day. And now I'm on the table for days 4 to 6, and I rolled a 4. A sorceress came to the castle to entertain the court at dinner. After some fanciful words, she promised everyone an enlightening sleep. True to her word, you both had vivid, realistic dreams of each other all night long. Answer very briefly aloud how this affected your behavior the next day. In your correspondence, elaborate. What happened in the dreams? How do you feel? Has anything inside you changed? Now, these are not like journal entries where you have to answer the questions and prompts one-to-one. It can be a lot more indirect than that, a lot more flowery language, because you're writing them in character. You're not writing them as a person who's playing the game. You're writing them as the princess, as the prince, as the monarch, as the jester. That means you can get a little creative with it. So it could look a little something like this. Dear Diary, I wish I did not recognize this feeling from stories. I never dreamt that shock down my spine would come so severely from something as innocuous as incidental eye contact. Incidental on their part, I suppose. Humiliatingly purposeful on mine. It's juicy, ain't it? Now let's say you've done 6 days worth of torturous yearning. So it's time for the climax. Let's say you roll a 3. There was a special visitor to court today, a noble from a neighboring kingdom who came to make a special request. Your royal's hand in marriage. It seems they were denied. Whatever for? See why I told you I felt like Gossip Girl. I feel like that in a lot of these prompts. It's great. And as if things weren't bad enough. So the climax is rolled. Obviously, you take turns, and then 7 is an odd number. So for the climax, you both roll a d6, and whoever rolled highest gets to roll again, and that roll is going to be for what happens in the climax. But also, the person who rolled the highest and gets to pick the climax or roll the climax is also going to be the player that receives the other person's correspondence after the climax. So you have the climax, you have your little correspondence entry to the climax, and then the morning of the next day, instead of rolling a happenstance, a thing happening here, you get to roll a 1d6 for how you receive the other person's correspondence. Let's say we rolled, I don't know, a 4. So that would be a starry-eyed lady in waiting discovered them and delivered them to you, convinced that your love is meant to be. Right or wrong she may be, she certainly needs a hobby. Gossip Girl. XOXO. It's a medieval term for gossip. It's just gossip. Gossip with an E at the end. Gossip with an E at the end. Girl with an E at the end. Girl who's going to be okay and girl with an E at the end. So what now? That's literally what the next gameplay portion is called. So now one of you has collected and read the other person's correspondence. So one of you holds all the cards. You know everything about how they feel about you that they've written down and everything about how you felt. They have no idea how you feel. Not really. So you have all the cards, and it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with all this information that you just got, how you're going to react to it. It could be that also in those letters, there might be other plot relevant things that interact with whether or not you're happy about this discovery. So, feel free, play with it, have fun, get a little messy. Your medieval gossip girl is here to encourage trysts and drama at every turn. And then you role play that out together. Meanwhile, the person who lost their correspondence, you kind of get to think beforehand about, like, do you notice that it's gone? When do you notice that it's gone? How do you feel about that? Like, just because you know it's gone doesn't mean you know who has it. So you have probably no idea what's happened to it, which is terrifying. And that's kind of the state you kind of have to be in mentally when the other person then comes up to you to role play out what's going to happen. So that you're nice in character, you can up the drama, you can really feel it. Oh, it's delicious. And that's Crown of Bells. I did just think for a second, like I kept saying medieval gossip girl, I was like, what if I make a little medieval gossip girl game? That's just werewolf. I literally got there by being like, what if this? And then this would be the one. That's werewolf. And that's what I'm going to be calling it from now on. I haven't fully illustrated the booklet, so I've only done the cover image and kind of like a back cover promotional image, and that's it. I've done the audiobook and it's already out and it is so fun to listen to. I love doing these TTRPG audiobooks. I really love them so much and I kind of want everyone to listen to them and hear them. Obviously, they're also an accessibility tool. That's primarily why they're there. But also they're so fun They're so fun. It's like having a little storytime podcast. But with all sorts of little things that can happen. So, highly recommend. They're so fun to make, and I'm so proud of them afterwards that I'm just like, God, I wish I had like a little podcast where I could just upload all of these. And I'm like, you're not going to upload all your games for free. Don't do that. But I want to. I'll find something. I'll find another outlet. I'll figure something out. But you should definitely check it out, and you can get a copy for $5. This game is just $5. And whenever it does get an illustrated update and, streaming kits, etc., it'll just be added. So you'll already get it and you'll already own it if you buy the game now for $5. So go check it out. Enjoy. Let me know what kind of drama you come up with. Have fun with this epistolary romance, star-crossed or written in the stars type of love, Jester and Royal TTRPG. Like and subscribe for more games and game videos, and make sure to follow and check out my backer kit, which is still prepping for launch in May. I did not get into Pocketopia this year, but I'm very excited about trying again next year, hopefully with a lot more of these under my belt, and I'm still going to be launching in May regardless, so make sure to keep up with the Facts Not Mala Anthology magazine, and I will see you guys next video. Bye. Oh, big dress reveal. 3, 2, 1. It was a blanket all along. You knew that.